wonderful. And Kareen's about to join us. So welcome everybody to the Edgewalker Cafe, July 1st, 2021. And our presenter today is Senior Edgewalker Associate Patricia Campanile. Patricia's been working with Edgewalkers for since before the book was written. And she has been trained in every aspect of the trainings that we have. She's a coach, she's a speaker, she's a facilitator, she runs retreats, and she brings her grace and magic to everything she touches. So welcome, Patricia. I'm going to turn it over to you now, and I'll be backing you up in whatever way you need. Just let me know.
Okay. Thank you so much, Judy, for your
We'd ask everybody to mute
mute.
unless you're going to be asking a question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm not mute. Okay. Judy, thank you so much as always for your leadership, your friendship, your support, and you're a creative genius that first inspired and you might say downloaded the whole Edgewalker model and the book and just the whole way of being in the world. So just thank you so much for that. And I want to thank all of you for being with me and Judy and all of us today. You could be anywhere and you're choosing to be here. So that really touches my heart and my soul. And I'm really intending that this talk and this collective sharing today will ground and inspire and even support some shifting for all of us. So every day, I love the synchronicity of this, but every day I get like the quote of the day on my email. And today was a quote by Eleanor Roosevelt, which we've all heard, but it happened to come in an hour or so ago. And perfect timing. It says, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. And that's what came across my email today. And today's topic is choose faith. And I almost said choose love, but I decided choose faith, not fear. So what I want to do before I start sharing some of my perspectives and inspiration and even some of my tools that I use around how to consciously choose faith and focus on love instead of fear, I want to just do a really quick centering because we've all come in from different places and time zones to just drop in and open up our receptors, you might say, on every level to receive not only my message, but whatever it is that may support you at this moment in time in the courage and the strength and the consciousness to choose faith and love over fear. So just take a quick moment, and if everybody could just kind of close your eyes, and if you can, I know some of you are biking and doing other things, but put your feet on the ground and put your right hand on your heart and your left hand on your belly. So we're connecting with our heart center, and then we're connecting with our power center, which is our intuitive, deeper knowing. And as we ground our feet into the earth, we also open up our crown and our higher chakras, our third eye, and we just really connect to all of the wisdom and inner knowing, that eye in the storm, that calm center, that no matter what may be happening in the world or in our lives or work or businesses right now, that we can always tap into that essence, that higher knowing, that truth of who we really are. And just take 3 really deep breaths and, inhale love and strength and clarity. And just kind of as you exhale any fear or concern, anxiety, any worry or uncertainty you might be feeling, just for this time together today, just let that go. Just feel that your heart, your power center, your higher wisdom that is always available to you. Just feel that. It's really about integrating and embracing and allowing that aspect of ourselves that is with us 24/7. Just remembering that higher truth of who we really are, which is love. And calming the mind, which might tell us otherwise. And creating the spaciousness to receive faith, wisdom, clarity, and to act with courage and focus during this time together and as we move forward. And as we take one more deep breath, just in your heart and your mind's eye, just express, if you wish, gratitude for all that is working, for all that you are and be and have and do in your life in this moment. Because gratitude fuels faith, and faith fuels gratitude. We just take one more deep breath. And then we open our eyes and come back to this moment together. Good. Okay. So the blog that I just wrote for Edgewalkers is the same title of the cafe today, which is choose faith and not fear. And the reason I chose this topic for my blog and for our cafe is that I've really been observing lately with everything that's been going on our planet, our communities, the United States, the world, the environment, everything. We would all say there's a lot of concern, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of unknown, chaos, uncertainty, which is creating a lot of anxiety and a sense of uneasiness for so many of us. I think you've got to be a rock to not be feeling, or experiencing some of what's happening in the world. So I recently did a mastery course for a few months last fall into the winter. And I said, what is a mastery that we can really utilize as we not just walk among and observe what's happening, but really being the change we wish to see in the world, because we've all heard that expression. And for those of us that are edge walkers or on the path of whether you want to say a light worker or a conscious being or someone who's wanting to give more to your community or to your work or to your family, how can we embody and strengthen that is within us, so we can choose faith? And one of the things that I often say to family and friends and clients is to watch the movie. And when I mean that is that more is happening, I believe, than what we're seeing. And I don't mean just politically or governments or the environment. I do believe that there is a greater shift that is occurring. And many of you may feel the way that I do, but I just want to put that on the table to be open to the possibility that love brings up everything unlike love. And one of the things that I write about in my blog, as I refer to the Course in Miracles, is that a part of me really feels that we're in the middle of a huge shift, and things are actually tipping in a way that we are raising our vibration, and that there's an evolution, not just a revolution going on. And I've noticed that I can observe what is happening without being afraid. I have concern about the things that I'm seeing, whether it's Corona or the environment. It's not that I don't care. I don't have my head in the sand, but I'm noticing that I'm able to kind of notice it with what I would call the observer or the witness mind. And in a mastery, it's looking at the movie. So right now you're all listening to me. Imagine if I'm on a movie screen, I'm on a Zoom screen. You're able to watch me more objectively. So one of the things I think that enables us to choose fear and love, choose faith and love over fear, especially in these crazy, uncertain times that we often find ourselves in, is to step back. And instead of doing this, we step back. And one of the things I often say to my clients, be curious. That's interesting. It looks like, whether it's the election or the global warming or the economy, those things are happening. But the thing is that we are always a choice. 24/7, we can choose how we want to respond to any given situation. And one of the things that I wanted to share today is that when you're in a witness mode or an observer mode and or curious, you can still look and experience and see what is happening, feel compassion, question how can I best serve what is needed right now. But when we step into fear and we start going down the rabbit hole and we go into the dungeon of the darkness, I say, is when we're actually not really effective, efficient, serving ourselves, our families, or our communities. Because when we're in fear, we are over-identified with the narrative of what is going on. So we start to get so caught up in the dark and the fear that we can't see that there might actually be a light of possibility, an innovative solution, possibly transformation happening. Does anyone relate to that? When we're in fear, we can't see what might be happening over here. That's a possibility. So one of the things I wanted to, and I'm going to quote this because it's actually verbatim from A Course in Miracles. It says, a core premise from A Course in Miracles is that there are only two realities, love and fear. According to A Course in Miracles, and this is what I wanted to drive home a bit, attempting the mastery of fear is useless. In fact, it asserts the power of fear by the very assumption that fear needs to be mastered. The true resolution rests entirely on the mastery through love. So one of the universal principles of life is what we focus on expands. And there's a lot of focus in our media and everything going on fear and the worst case scenarios. It's not to say that bad things aren't happening, but I really believe if every day, every one of us did some practice or something to shift our own consciousness, I think the whole world will begin to evolve and begin to shift in the other direction. If each one of us did a practice where we could hold the possibility of evolution, of awareness, of anything like that, that is not of fear, but of love and of faith, things would begin to shift on the planet. So it's interesting because my niece just got married here. We're in Connecticut. And one of the things I said to the two of them at the rehearsal dinner is that we cannot give what we do not have. And so many of us are focused on our purpose and our vision and our greater contribution as regardless of what cause or purpose we may have. And that is fabulous. However, I'm holding the space that maybe somebody can mute. I think, there we go. I'm holding the space that we can even be more present and more available for that which we're passionate about, for that which we want to serve, when we have cultivated within ourselves the vision of faith and love over overcoming and over fear. Fear, many of you may have heard the acronym, is false evidence appearing real. And it doesn't mean that things aren't happening, but I really believe that more is available to us. But when we're in the consciousness of worry, doubt, and fear, we can't often see those possibilities. So I would just invite you to stay as conscious as you can and watch the movie with awareness and with curiosity and with compassion and empathy. So I have a lot of compassion, a lot of empathy. Sometimes I want to weep for what is happening in the world right now. And then when I think about what the Course in Miracles says, and even the Edgewalker philosophy, which embraces spiritual practice and qualities such as passion and vision and playfulness and creativity, it enables me to step back and look at and say, wow, is there something else going on here? And I feel that my personal responsibility, as well as the way in which I facilitate with my clients, is to allow the space for our feelings, but then to step back and say, what can I choose now? In every moment, we're a choice. And it's so easy to become overly identified with the narrative of fear right now. It's everywhere if we look. What we don't see a lot of is the narrative of faith and love. We don't see a lot of that. And I feel that as edge walkers and as flame keepers, or for those of us that really want to hold the light, it's important to cultivate the inner and outer vision of where can I and how can I hold the space of faith. So faith, I have a definition of faith. Faith is defined as a belief or assurance, a firm conviction, and complete trust in something or someone. It's confidence in what we hope for, even when we cannot see it. Faith knows that no matter what the situation or lives or someone else's, what I say is the universe has our back. Faith is a muscle and love is a verb. So faith is something that needs to be, I feel, it's encouraged to be cultivated like a muscle to strengthen so that we can utilize and access that in the midst of something that might be really challenging. And love, though it is a feeling, love is an action. To me, love is a verb. How do we show up with presence? How do we show up with an open heart in spite of maybe people that have a closed mind? You know, what could that be like to hold that space of love? Because I believe and that love is really a greater energy than fear, and joy is a greater and a higher vibration than anxiety. So, you know, Albert Einstein's quote is, we really are here to shift, but we cannot change our consciousness at the level that we've created it. We've all heard that 100 times. Most of us have. So these are times that are a call to consciousness, a call to deep awareness, to defining and connecting to for yourself, what is faith for you? What practice, what is it that you connect with that is cultivates your faith so that you can walk in the world, whether it's our individual challenges, you know, family dynamics, problems in the workplace, you know, in the community or politics, whatever. How can you, two things, how can you personally cultivate the practice or the of faith and or cultivating the action of love in your life? And this is some of the things we're going to talk about in the breakout rooms. And then the other one would be where you do that. But the second part is, where would you like to maybe have support around doing that? So I know for me, I have a very, it's much easier for me to actually witness what's going on in the world with stepping back and noticing it and being curious about, I wonder what's really going on. I wonder if there's something else that's going to be revealed down the road. Am I going to over identify with this story? Personally, I have an easier time holding the space of faith and love in the real world than I do in my personal life. And I do in my personal life, but relationships for me, as wonderful as they are, can sometimes be more triggering because I have more invested in my love and personal relationships. So the practice for me sometimes is to be much more patient and allowing the space to be curious about what might be going on when someone I love is in fear or anxiety. That's actually more my challenge. That's for me. Okay. And in other ways, it's easier. So I want you to think about and share with your room. We're going to break into rooms here. Number one, share with the group that you're with what you feel is a positive way in which you're able to show up with faith and or love in your life and or work or wherever. because I think it inspires each other if we can do that. And then secondly, um, maybe ask for support or share an area that you would like to have support in. Just state that, and then we're going to come back into the room. So first of all, any questions about what I've asked you to do or anything I've said so far? Anybody? Is that clear? Judy?
Yeah, and you can raise your hand by going to the bottom where it says reactions in the bottom bar. There's a hand raise function, and then we would see that you have a question.
So
I've
what we'll
typed,
do, go ahead,
typed
Judy.
I've typed the questions in the chat,
Okay.
so they'll see them in the breakout rooms. I haven't, there, let's see.
So right now it's 1:24, let's say 1:25 East Coast time. And I would say, what, 15 minutes, maybe 10, 15 minutes, Judy, do we have enough time? Then we can come back together and then
Mhm.
we'll have 10 minutes together and then we could complete on the group. So once again, I want you to share with the group a way that you cultivate or share, bring faith and the focus of love in your life, and maybe a way that you could use some support on doing that more easily. And if somebody could either take notes or maybe be the spokesperson, just quickly just gather a couple of information. So when we come back in, we could share that one another. We could share that with a larger group. Okay.
How about 5 breakout rooms with 4 people each, or do you want
Now
smaller
that
groups?
I think that's good. I think 4 is more intimate.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
thank you all for being here.
And I would suggest 12 minutes, kind of
Okay.
split the difference between what you said. So that'll give each person about 3 minutes each.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank
and
you.
I'll give everybody a heads up halfway through.
Okay. Thank
Okay.
you. See you all soon. Thank you.
All right. There we go.
And not to us. Is that everything in our life happens for us and not to us. And when we can look through any situation with those eyes, there is an opportunity to grow. There can be a blessing. It doesn't mean that it's easy. This is not always an easy thing to do, especially when things are difficult, but it's definitely worth it. And one of the things that I know that Debbie said is she talked about having faith in herself, which I think is an important thing for all of us to remember, to believe in ourselves, to have faith and love for ourselves as we move about our lives and move into our work and are making a difference on the planet right now. And also, Corrine talked about, being a leader. Did you, anybody, make sure everybody's muted? I got that.
I
Is
think
okay. Is the other thing is that what I sometimes forget, it's not just that what we give to others, it's how we can listen and learn from other people. So very often faith and love and support, even if we're, like, say, in a position of leadership or facilitation or the head of a family or own boss or an executive, we can also gain faith and support from those that we work for and with. So it's a two-way street. So those of us that are in the positions of giving a lot or holding space can also receive that back from others as we cultivate faith and courage and strength. So, and Debbie also read a beautiful, we don't have time, a beautiful quote that she read about kindness. And I just wanted to remind us all that kindness is love in action when we can. And a question I would pose all of us as we go into the next group is, in any situation, ask yourself, what would love do now? I love that. What would love could be higher consciousness, faith. What would love do now in any situation you find yourself in? And step back and take a big divine pause and just say, what would love do in the presence of whatever you might be in? So I'm complete. Thank you. Next breakout room, someone who'd like to share what the group spoke about?
I don't mind speaking for our group. Are you happy with that, James and David? Okay, I'll let you come in if I think leave anything out. But there were some beautiful common threads, and Judy, however you broke the rooms up, you broke them up beautifully. It turns out we had some shared threads. And I think the most common one was meditation. That is a real tool that helps each of us in different ways in terms of keeping us grounded. And also the power of now. For me, Patricia, your talk was a real gift in that I had an aha, and my aha was actually I don't live in fear. And I don't live in fear. And I was trying to work out, well, why? Because it's pretty fearful out there. And I realized it's because I live in the now, and I stay focused on what I have and on gratitude. David talked about doing gratitude practice each day. We also turned out that we all have very similar roles in our lives, and with that element of the spiritual, the soul in our work, and it being part of working with organizations out in the world. So there were some lovely common threads in our experiences and in our strategies.
Wonderful, very inspiring. There are no accidents, are there, who we end up with? I love that.
Yeah, we're getting on LinkedIn tomorrow and connecting up.
That's one of the intentions of the cafes, is to create community and support for all of us, so as we do our work. So thank you so much, Siobhan, for that. Who else would like to go from another breakout room, and share for the group? Someone?
I'm willing. Because all three of us had different life crises that helped us really establish deep faith and consciousness and trusting of the power of the other source from which we all come and of which we're all one. And it's helped us just live through other things. And so we have that in common. Mine was, I'm just lucky to have survived the ventilators. But they lost me twice in those 10 days. I had out-of-body experiences, but that's another story. I was lucky to be brought back, and therefore have nothing but gratitude and in the faith and the reason for being here, with tons of side effects that I can't complain about because the gratitude for life outweighs them. And then that reminded me of a book that I just put in the chat, that we all might love. What Color Is Your Soul? Written by a very spiritual Black woman in the South, who is less interested in what color of our skin is, but what is the color of our soul, healing the illusion of our separateness. And it is just beautiful. I mean, you just get to know her and trust her and love her and want to go have lunch with her tomorrow. She belongs here. In fact, was she once a guest who spoke here, Judy? No? Because if not.
What's her name?
Nyambi Yaha Eccles.
No.
All right. She spoke at another group that I attend with just as many wonderful spirits as here. And that's where I met her. And then I got her book, and she's just beyond wonderful. Anyway, that's all. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, Louis. Well, I'll definitely look forward to reading that. Thank you. Wonderful resource.
Thank you.
Who else? Another group?
I'll speak for our group. We talked about faith equals patience, and our natural way of wanting to handle crises, and we each had lots of crises in our lives, like Louis was just talking about, and that faith means letting go of control and not and being patient that things will unfold as they should. And some things that help that are quality prayer. And Hada was talking about how it's not the same as prayer that's rote prayer that's just said robotically, but rather prayer that's really said from the heart. And the kinds of crises that we talked about had to do with illnesses and grief, but also crises within country. One of our members is from Lebanon, and it's really challenging for her, and faith helps her to be stronger in the midst of the crisis, as well as with grief and illness. So we had a lot of really deep sharing, even with technical challenges. And my heart is full from that conversation.
Thank you, Judy. Beautiful. Thank you. There's another room, is there not? I think there's one more. Who would like to speak on behalf? Virginia, was that you or no? Who's that? No, it's somebody.
Happy to. First of all, I want to thank you, Patricia and Judy, for such a lovely topic today. Honestly, I forgot all about it until like 5 minutes ago before it started. So I was so glad that I remembered, and I don't think it's an accident.
I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, me too. So our group was very unified in the sense of believing that faith brings us to the oneness of all humanity, but in very different ways. We had Anglican priests, as you know, there who will be preaching about the God within, which is, in my experience, I was born Anglican. Priests don't talk about that too much. They talk about God out there. They don't really talk about God within. And she had a lot of scriptural references that bring us right back. And then we had Michael, who is pretty new to this, but he's very great listener and very astute in his observations, and has very kind person. And we had a fourth one, trying to remember, I'm sorry, I forgot her name. She's from Florida. Cynthia, sorry, how could I forget you, right? Yes. So Cynthia was very, very interested in exploring in a different way, a way to get to faith. And I'm wanting you to speak about it in a second, but I wanted to mention that I believe faith is applied consciousness. And as we get more conscious, we can apply it at higher and higher levels. That's my experience anyway. I don't know if you all would agree, but so I think that our friend June from the UK also believes that, and it has a different way of explaining it. But so we're just curious about putting that out there, and hopefully Michael and June and Cynthia will chime in if I've forgotten anything.
Thank you, Virginia. Cynthia, something you want to share, honey?
Only that
You muted yourself.
You muted
there you
yourself.
go. Is that better?
Yes.
Only in that I was speaking particularly about how the oneness really touches my life through silence, and how silence is drawing me more and more into that communion of oneness. And then we all spoke about that at one ment that we share, and that mystical at one ment. So I think that that's been beautifully covered. Thank you so much, Julie. Thank you, Patricia.
You're welcome, Cynthia. Anyone else? Really, we have a few minutes. We have announcements that I want to complete, but I just want to make sure everyone said anything. Yes, Stacy.
Hey there. Dario and Wendy, is that okay if I speak for us?
Yeah.
Okay. So we all, like everyone else, have had our own anxieties and difficulties that we've faced, especially in the last year and a half. And so we talked about a number of ways that we're working with that. And so things like intentionally elevating our mood by being really careful about our diet of intake of what we're taking in terms of information, social media, and really making sure that it's uplifting. Everything that we're consuming that way is uplifting. And I shared a link for coronavirus. It's a website where he's really collecting these beautiful, positive stories that you can get a newsletter delivered weekly. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful collection to be reading. And also to really lean into what you're passionate about. Dario was talking to us about painting and said it's really about where your passion is. So follow your passion and just finding the gift in what's occurring and being intentional about that as well. So the last thing we said, that how important it is to be in community with other people who are uplifting and who are thinking about things like this, because otherwise it can feel quite lonely.
Beautiful.
Dario, Wendy, you guys want to add anything?
No, you're both okay.
Could I just ask if, can I just ask very quickly, has anyone had a near-death experience beside Michael? I'm sorry, beside Lewis?
Wow.
So I would like to gather people who had near-death experiences, if anyone's interested.
That would be fascinating. Yeah. Okay.
I'll put my email. I'll put my email in the chat.
Okay, thank you, Virginia. Yeah, if anyone's interested, look in the chat and there's my sister. Hi, Barb. We got a lot of family in this house. So yeah, so Virginia, if you put your email in the chat, people can connect with
I
you.
did.
about that.
I did.
Okay,
Thank
perfect. Thank you. And James, I see you have your hand raised. Is there something you'd like to share?
Yeah, thank you. I was struggling with something this morning, and I put it together with one of my favorite quotations. And the
Okay.
first part is a question. Quote, is everything, there's a famous quotation, everything happens for a reason. What I'm wondering is it instead that we choose to find a reason for everything that happens? And then I put it together with my own thinking right now with my favorite quotation that since it's all made up anyway, you might as well make up an interpretation that empowers you.
There you go.
And so thank you for helping me move that forward. I still have some work to do on it, but I'm getting where I want to go.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that. We're always at choice. If there's one thing we can control and all the things that are out of control is we can control what we choose in each moment. We are a choice. So thank you for that. In consciousness as well. So, okay. Wonderful.
Pamela?
Wow. What a group. What's that, Judy? Go ahead.
Pamela has her hand up. Pamela?
Pamela. Yes.
Hi. Hi. I just wanted to mention and thank you for the faith that you had in your vision, of course, so that this could become a reality. And certainly I have found that faith has helped me as well to fulfill my life purpose and to keep moving forward with that. Without faith, I would never have trusted the insights that I received, the divine downloads that I received, and the blueprint for the human spirit, which is my passion and purpose and my intuitive ability. I mean, like without faith, we could do nothing.
Mhm.
And so I'm very grateful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pamela. I know your journey, my friend. Thank you. And David.
Thanks. This has been super. I'm so glad that you guys are holding this type of space. This is such a beautiful conversation. I'm really glad I could make it. And I just wanted to throw out two ideas really quickly. One of them is, when does faith cross into knowing? What's the difference?
Mm.
Because many people here have had really deep experiences that, as I have, that have kind of maybe proved something to them, and so when does it doesn't have to be faith anymore? Because faith to me kind of implies like you don't really know, you just you're just believing, which is great, it's fine. But also at some point, if we go far enough, in my experience, you can get to you can touch a knowing that is even beyond it. And the other thing I wanted to say is I've heard lots of really beautiful strategies for keeping ourselves uplifted in these difficult times. And I just wanted to add the idea that let's make sure that we're not doing that because we're actually afraid of being afraid.
Mhm.
That we're not avoiding our fear. Because if we're kind of just trying to get out of the fear, then we're keeping fear alive in us by being afraid of our own fear. So can we also turn toward our fear and love our fear? Because if we do that, then nothing can touch it. Nothing can touch if we're not afraid of our own fear. So just wanted to, that's really helped me a lot in these crazy times. I've been so triggered by so many things, and I just wanted to, maybe that would help someone else. So I wanted to share. Thank you very much.
David, thank you. Both of those points and those questions were really profound, and I think even bring it to another level. If we had another hour, I'm sure we could talk about that. But I want to thank you for that. And I think it's true. I don't think it's about putting ourselves in the sand, or just being spiritual where we don't have to look at what's going on. But it's about recognizing the fear, recognizing the feelings, but it's really about, I think, transcending it. And I think some of the practices that we shared. And then I think you're right, after a while, when you know something enough, it becomes then integrated, where it can become part of our lives. But that is a process, is it not? It's a practice, it's a day-to-day. So thank you for those very profound points. I appreciate that. Really important. You're all amazing, amazing, amazing. So it's just at the top of the hour, and I know we have a couple of announcements, Judy, and there's a lot of information in the chat. If everybody take a look at that. And again, I just want to thank you all for being warriors and holders of the light, whatever that might mean, for having the courage to step into whatever fear and anxiety and uncertainty you have, and to just acknowledge and hold the space in my heart for each of you, for who you are, and in who you choose to be and who you're becoming. And also how we each show up in the world, regardless of what that may look like. So I'm really, big hug to all of you. Thank you for being here with me today, and with Judy as well, and for being part of our Edgewalker community. And if you're not on the edgewalkers.org, as many of you know, is the website, and we've got the blog and information, but you can sign up there if you're not already signed up. I think most of you are. And Judy, you want to talk about the next, or would you like me to talk about the next cafe? I'm happy to do it. I have the information, or would you want to do?
I'll go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, and then the next two cafes. So at the end of, we do these every 4 weeks, and then in between, on the weeks that we're not doing an Edgewalker Cafe, we post blogs by Susan Furness, by Patricia Campanile, and by me. So we rotate through that. So the next cafe, 4 weeks from now, Susan Furness will be hosting that, and the title of that is Talking with Tomorrow. She is going to be welcoming Elizabeth Sartoris, who's a renowned evolutionary biologist and futurist. So they'll be having a conversation. Yeah, right, Stacy, right? Wow. Yeah,
she's amazing. She's amazing. Liz, I know Elizabeth, she's incredible.
We're thrilled that she's going to be a part of this. So they'll be looking into the science, the economics, and intuition of our current world situation. And she's going to be, Elizabeth will be sharing her sense of the future, which is really one of the skills of being an Edgewalker, is this sensing the future, having a knowing about the future, being guided. That's really one of the applications of faith. The next month after that, on August 29th, I will be hosting that, and my guest is Cindy Wigglesworth, who's the creator of the spiritual intelligence instrument. Again, Stacy's. Yeah, it's pretty exciting. And somewhere down the road, we are going to have our dear friend Lewis Griggs, who has really been a champion of diversity and soul at the same time. So we've got lots and lots of good Edgewalker cafes coming up. The only other item I have, announcement, is that after years of development, this month we now have a new survey on the Edgewalker website, a new tool called the Archetypes of Change, that helps you to understand how you respond to change from an Edgewalker perspective, from a flame keeper perspective, a placeholder, a guardian, a hearth tender. So you'll get a 22-page printout if you take that online. So that's a new offering that we have. So I'm going to turn it back over to you, Patricia, for any last words. And thank you so much for what a profound topic and guiding such powerful questions for us to be in. And it feels like we've enhanced our faith muscles just by sharing with each other today. Thank you.
Forgive me, Judy. I just want to confirm. I believe you intended to say August 26, which is the fourth Thursday, not August 29, which is Sunday.
Thank you. Yes, Louis, you're right. Would you like to be my secretary? I've been having a hard time with numbers lately. They just don't seem to, like I said, today was the wrong time in my first message, and just not doing numbers well. So I'm glad I have loving people who support me. And
you do.
Judy, you didn't give a date for the one with Susan.
Oh, okay. That's July 29th for Elizabeth and August 26th for Cindy. Thank you.
Thank you. So could you just give me a suggestion of how to get the near-death people together?
Why don't you send me a paragraph that I could put in the newsletter, because we can send it to the whole community. Yeah, it's like 3,000 people in the Edgewalker community. And then that's gives you a wider reach. If you really want to organize something that, brings all the near-death experiencers together. Okay.
And or if whenever Judy chooses to have me speak about it, I will share mine, and those of us who've had them can at least participate in that. And those of us who haven't but still want to listen and learn are welcome.
Well, I'm gonna turn it over to Louis to host that.
Yeah, Louis, absolutely, he'll be hosting that.
Okay.
No, I mean turn it over. I'm gonna let go of my request to bring NDEs together.
Right, because Judith will do it for us by just using her list. And whenever she has me speak, that will be it.
It'll be beautiful.
I also know of a group in Virginia and Lewis in Maui, a huge big group in Hawaii. So I can even connect them in. Now that I think about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
There.
I did speak at that group in Maui once.
You did? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In Maui, so with Susan. So I just want to thank you all, and I know we
I've put in the chat that next week, coming from Boston University in Massachusetts, we've got music and spirituality in the pandemic. You're all welcome. It's free. I've put the website there for you, and it'd be lovely to see you. It's just in the morning your time and in the afternoon our time, so that everybody can join in. And so I should be speaking there about music and eudaimonia. There'll be an example of the Peace Choir, which I founded, and some of my own compositions on ecology and forgiveness. I'll be part of that conference. So do join us if you can.
Thank you so much, June. It sounds fabulous. Thank you. Appreciate that.
If you want to save the chat, because it's so rich, there's so many.
A lot here. Yeah.
The way you save the chat is there. If you go to the chat box where you would normally type in, on the right-hand side is a little almost circle, like a circular box with 3 dots in it. And you click on that and just click Save Chat, and it will save it to your computer.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you all. Just, we say namaste, and it sounds like a word, but it really is the God, the divine, the power in me acknowledges, sees, and embraces that divine and that higher self in you. And if we all remember that every day and spread that around, fear or no fear, things will begin to shift. We could be more in love. So
bless you, Patricia.
Blessings.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye-bye, everyone. Have a beautiful day and evening.
Bye.
Take care. Good morning. Bye-bye.